All right, here we go. This is the Dork Table and Extra, and we're live now. We've got Flash and Larry Woods, and Rob Works is joining in. I'm back here in the background hosting along with Vince Easley and one of the many Vinnies, and I think I've got us all plugged in. According to my checklist, gauges are seem to be operational. And so I guess I'm going to talk about some electric and maybe some other things as well. And I'll hand you over the mic, Flash. The mic. Who's Mike? Where did Mike get here? Flash, take Mike out here about around back behind the woodshed and whoop him.
No, Mike, take the Flash. Okay. Now, what we got going on is I have two gentlemen tonight that have a little knowledge, shall we say, on free energy sources, and that's the point of the show tonight. And the first one, well, let's let Larry start, and then when Larry gets questions from Rob and Larry are going to be talking about electrical stuff, folks. So take it away, Uncle Larry.
Okay. First of all, I'd just like to tell folks that free energy is real. It's out there everywhere. It's in the air around you. You can draw power from the earth. You can turn a tree into a wonderful antenna. You can eliminate some of the power uses in your house simply by putting up a small solar panel. So there's free stuff out there. There's nothing's free, everything costs. But once you get it installed, it continues to work for quite a while. There's all kinds of YouTube videos on YouTube, of course. Some of them work, some of them don't. You've got to try it out for yourself. And most of all, question everything. If you don't think it works, try it, find out. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but at least you know one of the things it doesn't if it doesn't. And spread the word if you know something that works. I'd like to find out a little bit more about Rob. Rob, talk to me.
Hey, Larry. Well, I've been interested in alternative technology and energy and things like that most of my life. I started out, computers was my first love. I built my first computer when I was 17, and from a Heathkit, the kind you actually solder together and all the parts. It was an 8086 with a 5.25-inch floppy. Yeah, 64K RAM. Anyways, are you familiar with KeelyNet, Larry?
A little bit of his work, not much.
Okay. Well, KeelyNet started out as a BBS, and it's all about alternative science and stuff. I posted a link here in the chat to their energy page, which has 94 different files in it, or 96, of all different kinds of designs and ideas and things that have been done. It's got you're familiar with the Tesla electric car and all that, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's got all those original articles and stuff from the newspapers. And have you ever heard of the Clem engine?
Yes. Yes, that's very effective. That works real well. In fact, there's a modification out now, just a little variant that is an excellent motor.
Right. That's in there. How familiar are you with John Keely's work?
Not too.
It's very fascinating. He was into harmonic resonance and using sound to activate these machines that he built, which were anti-gravity and directed energy type things.
And along that line, we've been looking at Otis T. Carr's work a great deal lately.
Okay. That's one I'm not familiar with. Which one is that?
Otis T. Carr, C-A-R-R.
Okay.
He built a dynamo that he calls the Utron that it seems to be pretty effective, and when you modify his coil designs, I think that'll be a really good place to start.
Right. Okay, I found him. So, last time you were on the radio, I think I mentioned the Bedini coil, and you said yours is very similar.
Yes.
To that as well. So, I'm very interested in that.
Well, there's just a few variations with anybody's coil that I think we've found that some people are overlooking. Go ahead and we'll talk about coils in a little bit.
Okay. Let's see. I don't know where to go from there.
Well, can I ask a question, Rob?
Yeah.
Sure. All right. What you seem to be interested in the same thing, right? The two of you, but there's so many sources of information out there. You're not running into the same people. Safe to say that?
Yeah, there's so much out there, and you know.
Okay. So why don't you take what you're interested in and tell us what you think you could accomplish if you could build it, like Larry did, because Larry's been working on a magnetic project for some time now, and they made one. Now he's looking to get into production on that situation.
Right,
so,
and I understand all that.
Right, but what is your project that you want to do?
Well, I have more of a goal than an actual project that needs to be built. My end goal is to build something that will power a house, and eventually have it to where every house is energy independent. And I know that's a broad goal, but
it's the same thing that Larry speaks of. It's no different.
Yep. I think we all want this. We want independent.
Yeah,
energy
but
independence.
The shareholder wants a profit. Okay.
Yeah, well,
true. That between us, I mean that's our collective. But the real world out there that's supporting this monster that we've been using it's got so much support I don't see it stopping or being replaced.
Just think about it. Their shareholders will receive their profits. They will receive their profits, but they're backing the wrong people at present. They need to start backing the inventors and getting us started, giving us the money we need to make our products real.
Mm-hmm.
That way they can benefit, because as we make more money, our products are going to be cheaper.
Well, and I'm still stuck on the concept of free energy, because I don't see how anybody has a right to force you to buy it from them. And that's what they do. They force us to use their inferior product.
Well, yeah, and that's our entire concept. Once you buy our generator, we don't ever want to see you again.
I understand that, and it's a lot less expensive than a lifetime of electrical bills.
Absolutely.
I'm with you on all that. And I'm just saying that, in my opinion, commerce is the problem, and it holds us back from having the things that we should have.
That's right.
On top of them using inferior forms of energy to fuel us.
Really. Transformers are not efficient at all.
What about you, Rob? Where do you stand on all that? I mean, it was a lot, but it's something that you liked.
That brings up another point that I talk about sometimes, and that's the patent system, which the technology we're talking about, I would be willing to bet a large sum of money that most of it's already been invented and is being bought up and suppressed and shelved by the energy company, the oil companies, and the powers that be, them, if you will, and that's what you're talking about. They're forcing us to use this inferior product where they transmit electricity through wires and it's completely crazy and wasteful.
Well, I mean, in the modern day, right, with wireless and all these harmful things they use, nobody ever seems to bring up that there's a safe way to do it, like Larry did.
Right.
Okay.
Well, so even with the wires, not even the wires emit an electromagnetic frequency that, I mean, it's well known you don't want to live under a set of high tension wires.
And you know, the way I understand it is all this could be changed, and the changes would make life better for us physically and mentally.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And what I'm saying, guys, is that it's not that it's not a great idea. It's that I don't think the strings of power will ever lighten up enough for us to be free enough to choose it. We're going to be forced as a collective to do what we're told as usual.
Yeah, that's why whoever builds it needs to put it out there. Open source it.
What available is there in open source that gets you to the end of your goal?
Well,
all
I'm not
of the Tesla stuff, if you do it at the right frequency, Schauberger stuff, Leeds Galvin stuff.
Well, right, Larry. I'm familiar with some of this because I've spoken to you before, but to the layman that doesn't know his ass from a monkey wrench, how do you explain to somebody that the frequency of this and that is affecting you physically and get their attention without being called nut job or dork?
Well, unfortunately, most people are controlled by what they see on the television.
Yes.
It's a sad fact, but if you don't fast forward through those commercials, kids are getting brainwashed. And don't look at anything on television for anything other than warnings of things that they're doing to you and entertainment. Don't let it influence you. If you want to learn something,
I would go a step further and say it's not just the commercials, it's the shows too.
Oh, yeah, sure. Sex, violence, and rock and roll. What else is there? Nothing, according to the TV. So,
I call TV the greatest weapon ever invented.
Absolutely.
How does it affect you? How does it affect you? Right, the frequencies. That's how it gets us. When the advertising doesn't work, the frequencies work.
Yeah, and all your smart TVs are watching you, so make sure
you
don't even have to be watching it.
Yeah, really. And your refrigerator and stove and washing machine and dryer, they're all listening to you.
Well, the newer ones anyway.
Yeah, the new ones.
Wouldn't it be centralized to like major metropolises? And
no.
If you live, think they're doing that? How does that work then?
All new stuff that is smart. All new smart houses.
All right.
All the new smart equipment is smart because it listens and watches you.
Wow. How do they get away with this?
All that really means is that it's Wi-Fi connected. Smart means it's Wi-Fi connected, and it tells on you.
Wow.
Also, it's a method for them to project frequencies into you through your appliances.
Yes, it's two-way.
Wow. Well, how much damage does this stuff do in a week?
Cancer, sterility, mind control in any way they want to do it. They can make you sick. They can make you passive. They can make you agreeable.
Wouldn't you think with all the modern technology we have, it would be easier to explain the illusion to somebody that was raised in the illusion that it isn't real?
Well, everybody's been taught that the illusion is real, and it's easier to make people believe a lie than it is the truth.
Yep. That's the $64,000 question, Flash.
Yeah.
How do you get through to people? I mean, it's been working on that for nearly 30 years myself.
Down in Texas. Yeah, you must be as popular as an Oakland Raider.
Yeah.
How do you? Okay, let me ask you guys another kind of a question though. In your daily life, right, when you go out and you actually deal with people face to face, do other people carry their anger around with them and you don't get along, or is it just a normal day, or what? What goes on with you guys?
I tried to tell some people that the flu shot was bad for you, that were going to get the flu shot, and they wouldn't even read what was in it. So, people have their minds made up for them in most cases.
Yeah, they already know better than you.
Absolutely, their cup is already full.
Wow. Okay. I would.
That's one of the reasons I really wanted to develop some kind of energy device that you can plug into a home and point to it and say, look, here's a house. Here's the electric pole. Here's the wire coming in. Okay, watch, we're going to shut that off.
Can you physically do this now?
Yeah. And
I don't know how. I mean, I know you can, but I didn't know if Rob did.
I know it can be done. I haven't done it myself.
Okay, Larry actually physically did it, so I'm really interested in progress on this because it's if you have an interest in something, there's a reason for it. You know? And I'm not real knowledgeable about these particular topics, but when I listen to the stuff that I hear, it just automatically makes sense. I don't question and doubt it like a newspaper.
Right.
Rob, let's talk about this for just a second. A thought just came into my head, and it may be totally wrong. If, in fact, you were to put a frequency modulator on your incoming power line, where they're sending you 60 cycles, and modulate that frequency to 54, and then put it into your house power supply, do you think that would negate the frequency from the smart meter?
Wow. That was quite a question.
Let's see. Okay, frequency modulator, where at on the way in? Before or after the meter?
Right after the meter.
Right after the meter, okay.
Yeah. At your main distribution panel going into the main breaker.
Right. Okay, so you modulate that to 54. I don't know enough about the smart meters. Do they send out a Wi-Fi signal, or do they transmit over the line back to the company?
They go over the line back to the company.
Which means they're probably sending those signals out both ways. It goes on the line and then goes everywhere, right?
Right, yeah. They're using the power line as transmission.
Okay, so whatever frequency they're using to transmit, I don't think it would help in the sense that you're not being exposed to those disharmonious frequencies. In other words, you're setting it to 54, so anything that comes into the house would be okay for that, but that's not going to stop them from broadcasting some other signal through there to do their other nefarious things.
Yeah. Just a thought. But a frequency modulator...
From what I understand...
Go ahead.
From what I understand, these things are actually sending out some kind of EMF.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not just over the power line, but just everywhere.
Yeah, the smart meters themselves, yes. And that's a real harmful thing that they're doing in the middle of the night when most people are in REM sleep.
Right.
And the both of you both know this, different states, okay? And this isn't one of my jokes, but you're not like neighbors. So there's bound to be more of us out there. But how do you know somebody?
There's a lot.
Right, but I have no electrical background for it to make sense. Yeah. For some reason, the way Larry explained what he said, boom, it just like a light bulb. Turned it on. Went, oh, I get it.
Right.
So now that shouldn't work for me, but it seemed to. I don't know why. Because most of the technical stuff goes right by me. You know, the sizes and measurements and all that kind of stuff. I don't follow that very well. But the logic behind the 54 cycle just hit me like a slap in the head.
Right.
But then it opens up. Yeah, see, there you go.
That brings up a whole other point, which I was trying to get to, is the point of a unit that people can install in their house and possibly even build themselves. Something that's for the layman that somebody could put together. They don't necessarily need to understand it, but something people can put together and become independent without having to understand all the math.
Right. Yes, I do. I get that clearly.
When we start discussing coils, I will explain just exactly how a starship coil is wound. Is that something you want to do?
Sure.
Okay, we can do that.
Is that what you call your coil, a starship coil?
No, sir, not even close. Well,
okay, that's something different then. Okay.
Yeah, it's something different.
Okay.
But the method that people are winding it needs to be refined just a tiny bit, and I can help out with all that.
See, I'm not that in depth with all the coils. I mean, I've heard of the Bedini coil. I've looked at it. I understand basically what it does, but that I haven't delved into that.
Well, like I say many times, every single coil will do something. It's just
right.
Some of them are more efficient than others.
Well, and I tell you the way I heard it.
Sure.
Because I'm sure everybody's got their own opinion, right? And what I heard Rob say is basically to take your idea that you're doing and just make it an assemble kit. Put this here, you put that there. You don't need to know why.
Exactly.
Other than it's good for you.
Yeah. Somebody pull out of a box, look at a step-by-step instruction sheet and build it and put it together.
Yeah, I think that would work for our equipment, except for the part about winding the coil, and we're really working on that real hard. I think we've got it worked out where we can have monkeys wind it, so I should be able to do one by myself.
Oh.
Interesting.
Isn't that special?
Yeah.
You get to move up in the tree another branch.
Absolutely.
Because, all that shit gets stuck to your fur after a while.
Mm-hmm. We've been beating our heads to death about a winding machine. Well, if we 3D print the donut, the toroidal shape, it'll take a lot of different programs, but we can program the wire size into it so that it puts a little groove where the wire needs to go, and all you got to do is lay it in there and glue it down, and that's what you told us about the last time.
Believe it or not, I had that idea. After the last show, I thought of exactly that, 3D printing it and with the grooves in it already for the wire.
We went as far as contacting ribbon wire makers, like for the ribbon wire in the computer, and talking about putting a spring of some sort in that so that it would just lay over the donut and hold itself on.
Right.
But that turned out to be a whole lot more expensive than we can afford.
Okay.
It would greatly increase the cost of the coil. Right now, we got $1 worth of wire on a $10 donut.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, it sounds completely doable. So, do you have a 3D printer?
No.
Okay.
No. Our smallest coil, our smallest big coil, let's say that, out of the large size group, is 8 inches on the outside, and that goes all the way up to 6 foot on the outside. So
Yeah.
we're going to need a rather substantial 3D printer.
Well, yeah, to make the big ones.
Yeah, to make the big ones. Yeah, to get any massive power out. But we get 30 amps out of the 8-inch coil, so put a bunch of them together.
Right. And you can get an 8-inch 3D printer for fairly reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not like it has to be super precise as far as the grooves in it, as long as they're
have
the right spot.
Yeah, half the diameter of the wire, or not half the diameter. Half the diameter of the wire, and with just a tiny separator between the two of them.
Right.
And if everything that we've been told by Mr. Roden is correct, we don't even need to use insulated wire on it, because the magnetic field will insulate it from itself. But that comes later when we can blow one up.
Yeah, that's an advanced feature, yeah.
Yeah, right now we got to have everything we've got.
So you think if you can 3D print the donut and send that out with a roll of wire and instructions on how to do it, people could put that together?
Yeah, I really believe they could. And if not, we can line the coils and sell you the rest of the parts for the generator.
Right.
Put it all in a kit. We got to start production first. That's the big holdup right at this point. And we contacted the 3D printing people that say they can print metals on the molecular level.
Okay.
That if, in fact, that would work for us, that means that everything electronic could then have our coils as well. So we really got into that a bunch, and it turns out that, no, they don't melt copper onto the form. It is an alloy, it's a polymer, and it does not have the exact same electrical and magnetic properties that real copper does. So until we get a sample of that and can test it, that may not be an option at this point. But every day they're getting better with it.
Yeah, Larry, let me mention this to you.
Yes.
You're getting questions, I think, on the RLM, and I forgot to remind you to open up your RLM.
Sorry.
Oh, it was me. We were kind of rushed to do this. It was a out of nowhere thing.
Well, what's the questions?
Let me see. I just saw the. Hold on. I believe it was Frumpy. Hold on a minute. Well, now I've been following the chat. Hold on a minute. I got to backtrack, and I'm just a little out of sorts here. Oh, it was
Frumpy's
about.
yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Rob.
From China. Frumpy's asked, why don't you import the coils rewound from China?
Yeah, but the very first time that we sent them a prototype, it would no longer be ours.
Yep.
That's real sweet. Indonesia, the average wage for a factory worker is $200 a month.
Yeah.
Ghana, the average wage for a factory worker is $800 a month. There are countries that we can manufacture in that are where you can just have them do work in their home and make coils in their home, which would take a pretty extensive inspection process, but we're going to have to do that anyway. So there's a lot of options.
This gets into that issue I have with the open source thing, because a 3D printer file you can download, and people could print their own donuts, buy their own wire, and make their own coil.
Yeah.
See, this is where I'm wanting to go, because I'm telling you, everybody, I've been looking at this stuff for a long time, and like I said, I'm not a master of any of them, but I've looked at a lot of them, and everybody that seems to find something good ends up having something bad happen to them. The ones that try to keep it to themselves and try to profit off of it. I mean, I understand you want to make money. And my philosophy in that is if you're the first one to do it, you're going to make money anyway because you're going to be the only one doing it for a while. And then as other people will pick it up and realize, hey, this is a good deal. And that's why I'm real big on the open source thing, because there's an open source patent system that you can put it out there that locks it into the public domain so that no other company can go in and take it and patent it and put it on the shelf.
Right. And you can license then that knowledge out.
You can give it out. People that want to build their own, that's fine. If you want to go set up a factory and start selling them, then you have a patent issue. Then
you have to buy a license to do it. And it would be wonderful if we could get 75 million people out there to want a license to do it, so that we can provide power for everybody.
Or just Joe Blow at home building their own, getting it out there. That's the point, is to have it become common knowledge. Hey, there's a system out here you can power your house, and you don't have to pay the electric company anymore for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and that's the way we feel about it, but the average Joe Blow wants to buy something he can plug in and forget.
Well, yeah.
He doesn't want to go through the manual labor of it. There's a lot of us that do and enjoy that.
Yeah, and you can sell full units too. I mean, that's where you're going to make your money. You're selling the units themselves.
Yeah.
And then licensing. If somebody wants to set up a factory and build them and sell them, you can sell a license to them. But put it all out there so the industrious Joe at home that does want to go out and build something can download the deal, go have it 3D printed and wind their own coil and make them work, just so that the knowledge of it, just the fact that there is a unit that can power your home, and there's no need to be dependent on an electric company anymore.
Absolutely.
That's the idea that sticks in my head.
Well, I think we've got one of the ways to accomplish that.
Yeah. And there'd be a lot of people that wouldn't be able to use it because of where they live.
Well, yeah, Florida, if you go off grid, your house is condemned, period.
Well, yeah.
So, we've got it.
There's ways you can still have a meter.
A hunting camp.
You don't have to run off of it.
No, but you can have a hunting camp.
Yeah.
That's a big thing in Florida.
Okay.
And that you can self-power.
And that's all a whole other issue anyway.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you're not going to not do something because somebody might not like it.
You'll really. It's never stopped me.
Well, I like free shit.
I heard that. If we get out from under the thumb of the power company, just think of all the extra stuff that we can do. We might be able to eat well.
And let me tell you guys briefly why I'm so eager to believe the two of you over the system, right? The system tells me that I should believe what it tells me. And you guys don't give a shit if I believe it or not. You already know what you know.
Yeah, I'm not here to make anybody believe it.
That's right. I'm not going to change anybody's mind.
But I felt, we're on the radio. We can say and do shit on here you wouldn't normally do in the chat.
Right.
So I just wanted to, talk for a minute and interrupt with my shit.
Any more from the chat room? Any more questions?
We interrupt the following program with a word of thanks to Gary Long and Big Names for sharing the post for the broadcast.
Hey, Vince.
Hey. Welcome to RealLibertyMedia.com today. Free Energy now live on the Dork Table Extra at rlmradio.xyz.
Kind of leaves you breathless, doesn't it?
Amazing.
What do you say after that?
Yeah.
Good night, Alice. Anyway, see, I like free shit, and I think that the government with their rights and all that is just a snow job, so you won't notice that you ain't got anything.
Well, yeah, all the ancients had free energy.
Right. Well,
at
right,
least the
but
elite of their society.
and I'm just saying, my participation in this, I see it as they're holding my attention hostage. I either use their shit or get along without it.
Right. Well, you know my attitude, Flash.
Right. Well, I got real lucky with the police, so I suffer in the energy department because I'm living in a socialist country. Yeah.
Right.
And as a guest in their country, I don't want to go out of my way to disturb their way of life. That's kind of stupid. That's why people get bad reps in America.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even try to speak Danish, and the Danes know why. It's funny. It's not worth... They wouldn't know what I was saying in Danish. It would be easier if I just spoke English and saved them all that trouble.
Yeah.
But
do you find that a lot of them understand or speak English, or at least understand it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, majority of people. And it's not just people here.
That's the way it is all over the world. That most other countries speak 2 or 3 languages.
Yeah. Right, but English isn't a very popular spoken. But they hear it because of the advertising and stuff. There's computer shit now, right?
Yeah,
you can't.
Everything's in English.
Yeah, well, it's in that universal computer lingo.
All new technology is in English.
We clip in there.
I'm sorry?
Let me interrupt a minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, we clipping? Let me interrupt for a minute. We clipping? I'm getting clipping on your internet. It may just be my bandwidth here. Somebody ask those listening. It catches up downstream here. How's the audio coming through? Okay, I hand it back to Mike.
Okay. Hello?
Okay,
All at once.
You interrupted so you could make dead air? That's a good one. What's up, Vincent? Cat got your tongue. So anyway.
I'm over here pushing buttons. I had to interrupt it. We was getting some clipping there, so yeah, I interrupted everybody, so what are you going to do?
No, it was just me yakking about society and how they abuse me, forcing me to use their inferior product. And my voice has, my voice. People don't give a fuck. They want their.
Let me interrupt a little bit.
No.
Since I interrupted, let me interrupt a bit.
What do you got?
So, the boys got wood over here, and so I got internet, and he don't. And anyways, I posted up and said sell a little bit. Like I tell them, everybody wants to go in the cutting wood business until they start having to cut wood. But anyways, I had a guy wanting a couple of ricks. So I was going to ask you guys, in your part of the world, I know it's kind of specific to certain regions of the South and perhaps just the Midwest and the South, but call a rick of wood. There's a cord, which is 128 cubic feet, but a rick is cut to generally 16, 18-inch wood, but you just get a stack. You get a stack 4 foot high by 8 foot long, and one fella, he wanted some stove wood, so he kind of thought maybe he's getting shorted. And I said, well, that's a stack of wood. You have to cut it the same amount of times. You have to split the same number of pieces of wood. But something that is missed a lot, though, like in the apocalyptic type settings of dystopian future books and novels and movies and so forth, a lot of things that are missed out on is wood gas, and it's pretty radical. I mean, you can get gas off of probably any number of things, from garbage and compost and even grass clippings, I'd say. And that's heating up the carbon and extracting it, gasifying it. And there's other systems where you can trap off your tars and this and that. And so it's like fracking. So there's a lot of different alternative energy that's not utilized because of the fact that the system it is controlled by these corporatocracies that operate around the world. There's more or less the central authority, and that has many faces and names and shuffles around. That there is a definite control of the way the world is, and unfortunate that is the main driver of modern society is energy, and these fossil fuels are so abundant and have been for so long and cheap to get. And so there's really not a lot of incentive within the system to change that. It's a lot of money, and the driving force is to spend, and to spend you need to destroy things and make new things. So it's the method of the madness of the world, and that's war, and that's unsettlement. And I think we find that is prevalent in all of our dealings in this world. So,
and that's very prevalent in the United States. There are waste to fuel and waste to energy projects going on in other countries. Our dumps, our trash dumps, are a gold mine for usable products, for recyclable stuff. We can make fuel, we can make fertilizer. There's no end to the products that can be made out of our dump. We're just trained to use it, and throw it away, buy a new one. Rather than change a transistor, we change the whole circuit board. So it's a matter of the mindset. Overseas, what is it, Denmark? That is totally. They are importing other countries' waste so that they can make energy from it, and they're done away with their coal-burning power plants.
Damn.
So this technology is out there. That's what I keep harping on. There are methods everywhere. It's just they're being suppressed in this country mostly, and in any country that we influence. Let's put it that way. The Great Britain world, the Queen's world, and our world are the same. Let's talk about coils. Let's talk about pyramids. Pyramids, that was the best power source that ever went. And Tesla understood it, and Lee Scalman understood it, and that's good stuff.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Larry, as much as you know about electric, is there any of these so-called cities that do anything that is remotely good, like they say, or how do they sell it to people? I don't even know.
There's a city outside of Prague that is totally powered by a self-powered magnetic drive machine.
Whoa.
All of their energy is from one machine. It's a small community, but these places are there. They just aren't publicized. Their knowledge about them is suppressed.
We've outgrown the way we were living.
Oh yeah.
In a way. We're going too fast with old tools. And it's time for an upgrade. And they all understand upgrading their fucking cell phone. But when you talk about upgrading your source of energy, they don't seem to get the idea.
Well, like I always say, the Romans used steam power, and today in the atomic age, we're just making a hotter fire. Stupid.
I don't know, I had the feeling to interrupt you before you started, because once you get going on the pyramids, it's a good story. So I wanted to get my interruption out of the way.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, first of all, I think that the pyramids, and most of them, are much, much older than we've been given to believe. But let's take one of the older pyramids over there, for instance, to begin with. You can see that at some point in history, the Egyptians were experimenting with methods to generate electricity. The Red Pyramid is what I'm talking about. That is strictly a water generation system. What it does is that there was an opening that they ran water through. That was angled down, and it hit a 90-degree turn in the wall. That 90-degree turn put it into a room that at an angle so that it created a spiral vortex circulating in that room. Circulating water through a highly conductive granite, which is this granite with a lot of crystals in it, will generate electricity. So that was one of their first steps. That taught them how to use water to make power. Okay, they may or may not have been able to project it out of the Red Pyramid, but they could draw off of it. Excuse me. Then move on to the Great Pyramid that we all know about. Way below the Great Pyramid, I think it's 177 feet, is where the aquifer is. That's the water table in that area. They constructed a big room there that it could have operated in two different ways. Just like I just said, water running through highly conductive granite will generate a charge. So they could have just drawn that off from that, or they could have filled that room, and some people suggest that the water, as it sloshed and beat across the ceiling, put a frequency into the pyramids, a low frequency. Okay? Yes. All of the interior stone in the pyramid is conductive granite, high crystalline structure granite. So that means that, and you can't even strike a match inside the pyramid. There's not enough air. So that eliminates the use of fire. A mirror can only be reflected 3 times before it loses its effectiveness. So that doesn't work. So they had to have electricity. The light bulbs are shown in the temple. Excuse me. So that power, that electricity, goes through these tunnels. You use the light bulbs to create the light that you need, and they go up into the Baghdad battery room. That's the next room. The little 2.5 volt Baghdad batteries that they show on TV are tiny. Those were individual use batteries. They had 6 and 8 foot tall earthen jars that they have Baghdad batteries in, which is a form of capacitor. So by hooking them together either in series or parallel, you boost the amperage or voltage to get up whatever you need. Those were connected by more conductive tunnels up to the Queen's Chamber. When the Queen's Chamber was first opened, they found mineral salts all over the walls. That means that it was used for electrolysis. The power going up through the tunnel, charged the Queen's Chamber, did the electrolysis. There's another tunnel that goes up to the Grand Gallery that has 27 slots in the top and the bottom of it, in the ceiling and the floor, that were used for the tuning rods. They tuned the frequency of the hydrogen gas whistling through that tunnel, again conductive, sent it up into the King's Chamber. There's 5 massive stones on the top of the King's Chamber that are perfect on 3 sides. The 4th side is pitted, drilled, tuned. They tuned these stones so that they would provide a specific frequency. That allowed the pyramid to do whatever it does, whether it's communication, transportation, levitation, power transmission, whatever it did. So that's how the pyramids work. And the Mayans have the same system in the Americas.
Larry.
Sir.
Do you know who Carl Monk is?
No, sir.
There's a video on YouTube by him called The Code, and it's all about pyramids and all these different sites around the world, the Stonehenge and the Mayan pyramids, and they're all interconnected. And I think you would be...
yeah, they're all on specific ley lines.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very familiar with that. I'm not familiar with his work at all, but the 188
Well, he's got a
lines are...
nearly 2-hour video called The Code. It's on YouTube by Carl Monk.
Interruption for Juana Taco's question. You want to read it, Rob?
Let me go back and find it.
Right
is the electrical power source partially built at the end user's home strictly for price? Why does that seem to be the preference? If not price, what is the issue with marketing complete units lacking only simple installation?
Yeah, that's what we intend to do. Once we get our magnetic drive on the line, then it will be in a Faraday cage with a disconnect on the outside. You simply run power cables from the disconnect to your main breaker on your main distribution panel, and you're done.
Right.
Disconnected from the city altogether.
Yeah. Well, I think the plan is to do both. Not,
Yeah, definitely both.
Yeah, I mean, I foresee there will be companies that will come out and install it for you and everything. You don't have to do a thing but pay the bill.
Oh, yeah, any electrician can hook this up. It's disconnect
right.
two wires.
So there will be
two
people
wires
doing all that. My point was to get it out there to anybody that wants it, because not everybody can afford to pay the electrician to come and hook it up. Or would want to. Maybe they want to just experiment it and do it themselves.
Yeah.
Got a lot of do-it-yourself people out there.
The only thing you have to know to do this is that you've got to pull the meter first. You got to take that meter off so that there's absolutely no power coming into your house.
Yeah, or just disconnect from the meter altogether.
Well, that's what you want to do eventually, but to install the gear, you've got to disconnect the meter first.
Yeah.
It almost seems like common sense is the biggest enemy to this simple idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a real shame that you've got to put danger warnings on things that people should know they shouldn't touch.
Right. Well, I think
don't spill your hot coffee in your lap.
Well, I don't so much mean the normal fear of electricity, but from experience, using it. I mean, to the person that never had handled it, just tripped into that and got shocked by something. It must be strange.
Yeah. I have the perfect warning label. Don't be a dumbass.
Yes, sir.
Well, all this being responsible for yourself is real easy not to do because you got a Bill of Rights.
When I was a little kid, I played with metal toys that had sharp, pointy edges on them, and when I fell down on them and cut myself, it was my own fault. Yeah,
but did the dinosaurs really have teeth?
Who's this Bill guy you're talking about? Bill of who? Bill O'Reilly?
Bill O'Reilly.
And listen, people are free to do all the stupid things they want to. Like, look,
yeah.
I'm gonna lick this flagpole.
Yeah.
I do now.
I don't know. I think if people live in a violence-free environment, say eyesight, whatever you look out and see for as far as your eyes work, and you don't see or hear any violence or any of that, then that's enough.
Yeah,
I'm comfortable. Well, that's what I wanted.
That's
but occasionally
we have now.
Yeah, occasionally somebody either gets ill or gets hit by a car or something, and I've seen an ambulance or two, but no violence.
Well, there's no such thing as safety. There's no such thing as violence-free. Nature is violent.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, the locals take care of their own bullshit.
But as far as looking out and seeing people rioting in the streets, no, we don't see that now. I mean, unless you're in Syria or Yemen or...
Are you near a big town?
I'm just south of Houston.
Okay, so you know what's going on in Houston where you're at, right?
Oh, yeah, I hear about it. And I know shit happens.
Where they're
But even in those
really
neighborhoods, it's not 24/7 guns going off and, OK Corral out in the streets,
Yeah,
It's not
I
like
know.
that.
Yeah, I know that. I've lived in a lot of places, but that's the way they say it. Yeah.
It's all fear. It's just fear.
Well, it goes back to the wavelengths and the frequencies.
Yeah. And I think that has a lot to do with the way people are acting. And, well, like I said, TV is the number one weapon they use. And then, and we're getting it from all sides. We get the fluoride in the water and all the poison in the foods and
metals in the flyover things they do.
Yeah, and they're spraying shit on top of us, and
all the aluminum,
all directions.
Mm-hmm.
All that aluminum's making us more conductive, so that their frequency stuff really works better on us.
So does that mean if we fix that and change it to 54, then that'll work better on us too? Then, right?
Absolutely. Every single tower out there has a military antenna on it that provides these frequencies.
There are things you can add to your diet one way or another, either capsule form or powder, and add it to your fucking rice or your porridge. And cancer can't live in the environment.
Yeah,
I learned that from people over. Larry just goes along with that.
Absolutely. Increase the pH in your body. That's all you got to do. Apple cider vinegar, baking soda.
There you go.
Epsom salts.
And amongst the group that we associate with on the RLM, we all know this stuff. But maybe there's somebody new or somebody that's listening might catch on, get it.
Turmeric, cilantro.
There you go.
Avocado seeds. Eat the apple seeds. They've got B17 in them. That kills cancer. Hemp oil. There are millions. The only thing that does not cure cancer is anything the American Medical Society suggests.
Wow.
Run!
I'm going to use my magic 8-ball. Wait, that's Congress has got it. Hold on.
Yeah.
Now, the VA called me in 2009 at 8 o'clock in the morning on Friday morning on the telephone. Mr. Woods, you've got 6 months to live. We're going to set you up with an oncology appointment.
Dang.
I started taking, I found a place in Mexico that would ship me B17. They called it something different, but they shipped it to me. And I took 4 times more of that than they suggested. And within a month, the VA couldn't find anything cancerous in my body.
Damn.
Yeah.
But there's,
anybody that's used the stuff will say, yeah, I feel all right.
Yeah, I can live through chemotherapy. Chemotherapy kills 54% of people that take it just because of the radiation.
Yeah, when people come near me wearing hazmat suits, I don't walk toward them.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
I look for the exit at that particular point in time.
I don't go to quacks in the first place, so that won't ever be a problem for me.
So here we are, right? And we're collectively being held hostage against our will through consent that they got from us through deceit. But it's free. Are you fucking kidding? It's only free if you're willing to not chase after financial things. Then you're free. But say that my taste leaned towards I wanted a $1 million home and a car and a boat. Then I'd have to go get work to support it, or steal, or whatever, be a politician. Oh, I said steal. Get a haircut and get a haircut and throw a suit on and go out there and tell them, I'll change everything for you. You vote for me. You're gonna get into the club.
Yep, everybody gets a pony.
But being outside of the original families, I wouldn't go very far, but it'd still be, that would be a kind of a cush life. Like being a Baptist minister, Just selling soap to people that don't know what you're talking about.
Be like me or die.
Yeah, wow. We got to be doing better than that. I mean, more than 50% of the population that had the ability did not vote. So that tells you though there's a problem off of that we didn't really look at too closely. And that is that the lunatics are running the asylum and the rest of us are just complaining about it.
Yep.
Doing fuck all to change it. It's sad. And we're all spread out all over the fucking globe anyway, so it's not like I can pop over to your house tomorrow and say, "Hey, Larry, you need a hand with something."
What?
But the people that I live amongst, I'm on that kind of a basis with them. If I needed something, I could go to them and, "Hey, help me out."
We have recently started a little group at my house. It meets on Wednesday nights. Just like prayer meeting, boys and girls. And we discuss different people's science and look at it real close and watch their YouTube videos and decide amongst ourselves, does that work? Does that not work? Is that something we want to try? Everybody can do that. Y'all get together and discuss things that are interesting to you that you can do something about.
And then there's the unsociable old guy like me.
Hey, I hate everybody equally.
Exactly. So, it's not that big of a living room here. I don't think so.
Build a campfire.
No. See, that's the whole point. I don't mind being an ogre. Doesn't bother me. I'm not the one it irritates.
Yep, my alone time is special.
Right. Well, see, there you go. And I don't have to look for anything in life. Whatever it is I want, life just seems to drop it in my lap. All I got to do is just maintenance. Stay alive, try to take care of myself a little bit so I don't break down and fall apart too soon. Simple stuff. And I got all the help in the world, people from RLM, like Grammy. If I needed some oils or something, damn, there you go. Tell me what I need to do.
She's a sweetheart.
Right, but all the big fears that grip most people, cancer, bankruptcy, all those big things, I don't care. I don't have nothing. You can't take anything away from me. It's all just make-believe anyway, so think what you like.
Nope, it's just stuff.
Right, but see, you go to bed at night in your own little bed, in your own little zone, wherever you are, and the rest of it isn't there. Because you're sleeping, so it doesn't matter. Same way it is here. My little zone, and it's peaceful and quiet. But I like being, I like where I'm at in life. And I hear other people talk a lot about how it's going to get better soon because we got a new hairdo in the White House, and wow, and it's not like there's a lot of them. I mean, but the one there is wow. I can't tell if he's joking about it or if he means it.
We'll see.
Well, there's nothing to see. We're living in a plan. It's all these little events and shit that happen. Most of it's nonsense.
Yep, it's preordained. They've decided what we're going to do to us, and there's nothing we can do to stop it.
And they're bombing 7 countries right now. You don't see video links about that every day.
Thanks, Becky. See you later. Thanks for coming.
Hey, Becky.
Thanks for
see
sharing
you later.
the
Bye-bye, Becky. But it's like there's so much negative anyway. I guess that really wouldn't change anything. But the government is so powerful in the American mind and the British mind and the whatever corporate identity you want to sponsor, that people are willing to believe words with no physical proof to get to a level of hatred that they want you to die. And I find that really unnecessary in this world, but that's the game the politicians want to play. And the population doesn't know they have a choice. They're being held captive, like prisoners.
So back to the technology, the gasifier thing, the wood gas thing that Vince mentioned. That's one of those things that has to be maintained, has to be fed, that kind of thing that most people aren't going to want to do. So that's probably the biggest reason wood gasifiers are not popular.
Yeah, it does take a lot of work to do that, regulating temperatures and so forth. And the cracking and the extraction. But,
and if you don't watch them, they can get explosive.
Yeah. So. Now I'll tell you something else that we've talked about in the past is the gosh, now I can't remember the name of it, but it runs between a heat differentiation between hot and cold. And if you had a good sized pond or tank or small lake or whatever you call it, watershed, and you ran your pipe off down in there, and then you came back up, and you had a big heat mass where you could use one of those, like the screens, those fractional screens off of big screen TV, the old ones, and concentrate that heat. So it's a piston that moves back and forth. That's caused by the
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I'm trying to find it.
Now, thermal electricity.
Well, that's not. Well, I guess it could be considered a thermal device, but not really thermal electricity. It's a mechanical device. There's lots of ways of extracting energy from all sorts of things, and it's just how much energy you get out of what it is you're extracting. Say, for instance, on a different theme, but still, you've got pressure. All this is factored into your electrical currents and stuff. Same as with water. If you had a hydraulic ramp up, you can capture downflow water and push 25% of it up 10 foot for every 1 foot of drop. And so there's different mechanisms for capturing what energy exists. And as with Tesla, the energy that is in the magnetic field of the Earth, and it's simple extraction. It's just collectors. So when people talk about free energy, it sometimes might be a misnomer in a sense, because work is required. Now you can get to a point where it would almost seem as to be pseudo perpetual, but you can get to a point in some things where you're extracting such great amount of energy, and very little of that energy you can use it to return to the system and have a continuation of production.
Right. I lost. I'm trying to think of the name of that motor you're talking about, because that's a deal that I was into.
Yeah, you could create them on a large scale. Matter of fact, one North African country has a big, huge lake out there, and they built a pipe and floated it as they built it and pushed it out, and then they sank it down into the water, and so it's in the desert. So yeah, that's a great way of producing energy.
Yeah, just temperature differential. Mm-hmm. Larry, have you ever looked into the nitinol wire stuff?
No, not at all.
There's they call it memory wire.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I have.
It retains its shape.
Yeah. They bend it. When they put it in warm water, it bends, and when they put it in cold water, it expands. Yes, that is beautiful. I'd love to know the formula for that alloy. Yeah, that
I think
looks
it's
like a real good way to produce energy from now until forever.
You can buy the nitinol wire online. There's manufacturers that you can buy it all day long.
Well, just think of that. If you use that to rotate a series of magnets through a toroidal coil, there's your generator.
Right. Well, you can go on YouTube and look up nitinol, NITINOL.
I know what you're talking about.
They've got motors. They've got one with the little propeller on it, and two glasses, a glass hot water and a glass cold water, and one leg in each glass, and it's got a spring coil that runs around it, and it just runs.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's amazing. I love that. I had no idea.
Now,
we just
combine that with a Fresnel lens. Are you familiar with the Fresnel lens effect?
Yeah, Fresnel lens that magnifies the light. Yeah.
Right. You can burn metal with it.
Yep.
I've got one, or a friend of mine has one, and you can sit there and 3 seconds set a stick on fire with it.
Oh yeah.
That's what the Fresnel lens is what I was talking about out of the old big screens, TVs. Sterling engine.
Yeah.
The Sterling
engine.
That's it. I knew we'd get back to that.
Yeah, the Sterling engine. You bet. That's good.
So combine that Fresnel lens with something like Sterling engine or this nitinol concept, and there's all different kinds of things.
Well,
out
Archimedes' wheel, just a counterbalanced wheel that keeps turning.
Right, I've seen that.
You know, so it's the ancients had it covered. We just covered it up.
Right. That's what I'm saying. The technology is already there. We're reinventing things.
Yeah, nothing that we've done is original.
Yeah.
It's not. We learned from ancient Polish runes. We learned from cave drawings.
Right.
We learned from the Emerald Tablets. We learned from pyramid math. We learned from Solomon math.
That reminds me, that carpet you mentioned before with the circuit printed around the edge of it or whatever?
Yeah, the Persians.
Okay, that video I just told you about, Karl Monk's, the code.
Yeah.
There's a place in South America, I think it is, this pyramid complex that just, from the air looking down, it looks like a printed circuit board.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, you've
I've
seen
noticed that quite a few times.
Yeah.
And with all of the tunnels underneath it that are all in conductive stone, that was a powered circuit board.
Exactly.
It did something. The pyramids of Giza are the same thing.
I think the point of what he's getting to is this was a worldwide global circuitry that it all pointed and coincided, because the math from the pyramids point to Stonehenge. They point to that other big circle thing. There's all these things that most people have never even heard of.
And all these, the pyramid in Antarctica.
They all point back and forth to each other. It's a network.
Yeah, using the Great Pyramids as the 0 point, as the center point.
Right.
And expands from there. All equilateral triangles.
Yep.
It covers the whole world. Yeah, we've been studying that for years. I want to build a magnet factory on a ley line and intersection.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned on the last show that you'd be willing to have somebody come up and wind a coil and hang out and pick brains and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, I think that'd be a fun thing. At this point, I've got somebody going to be here in 2 weeks, and then we begin after the first of the year.
Yeah, I'm thinking more along the lines of springtime.
I'm going to be in the swamp in March, down in Louisiana.
Oh, well, that's just next door.
Yeah, so you might come and...
Maybe we could, what are you doing down there?
Fishing, what else is there?
Oh, okay. Just
fishing is the only
thing
that matters in the world.
Oh, okay.
I'd rather fish than eat.
Okay, my buddy Steve would definitely... you guys
bring it down. We'll rent a boat.
Yeah.
We can show you some good spots to fish.
We'll definitely have to stay in touch on that, yeah.
Now, I've been going to the same lake for 50 years now, and it's all a cypress swamp that you can't see where you are when you're 20 foot away from the dock.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful. It's heaven to me.
Right. Okay. Well, I was thinking more along the lines of winding a coil, though.
We can do that in the boat when I'm not catching fish.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe by then we can have the 3D printed.
Yeah, we're working toward that real hard. There's a water purification company that understands what our coil can do for them, and they don't add chemicals at all. They can take out the staph germs. All diseases are eliminated from this water. It increases the pH. It adds ozone to it, which of course recombines down the line. But that purifies the water.
Right.
It tastes better than Independence water, and we get ours from limestone wells.
Okay.
No additive. Oh yeah, when that deal goes through, we will get our start.
Okay.
He's got a hospital contract that will just make us. It'll put us together.
Kickstart things.
You bet.
That sounds wonderful.
Time.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I want to be involved.
Yeah, we can probably work something like that out.
Whichever way it goes, I want to be part of it.
Does that bring us to where we can talk about coils?
Sure.
Let's talk about coils.
There's just about 40 minutes left.
Yeah, about
44.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about some real basic things to start with. The magnetic field cannot cross itself at anything other than 90 or 180 degrees, because if it does, that creates an eddy current. An eddy current is a slow spot in the transmission of power. It's an opposition to that power. That makes it cause a charge. That makes it draw more amperage to operate. That causes heat. All of these are bad things. Heat reduces the life of the appliance, of whatever it is that you're powering. So you want to eliminate that. 90 and 180 is the only place you can cross. You cannot cross your wires. You can't twist your wires together. If you twist them together, each wire carries its own magnetic field. So they got to be laid right side by side, just like your fingers. If they cross and overlap, that collapses the magnetic field of all those wires and turns them into one wire magnetic field. In some cases, this is what you want. If you want to provide more amperage and let the magnetic field do all it can do, then you don't want that. And I strongly suggest against it. The patterns that you wind, let's talk about the Starship coil. A Starship coil is wound around pegs. I start out by scribing a 360-degree circle and just marking off your degree marks every 10 degrees.
Okay. So 36 pegs? Or 30?
36 pegs. Yep. Okay. That gives you 36 points to work with. Number those points. 1, 2, 3, all the way around.
Okay.
Convert all of that through vortex math to 1 through 9. Just add the two numbers together, and whatever number that is, that's what number that spot is.
Okay, yeah.
Put a peg in each one of those spots to wrap your wire around. The Starship coil pattern begins at 1, goes to 7, goes to 4, goes back to 1. Wrap this pattern 12 wraps with the wire stacked, not overlapping.
Okay.
I told you that wrong. I just finished one complete circuit. That won't work. You start with that spot and put one winding on it.
Okay.
1, 7, 4, 1, and stop. Then you go to your number 2 point and go 2, 8, 5.
Okay. So just one offset on each one?
Yeah. Yeah, just what you're doing is you're forming an equilateral triangle with each one of these pairs. And just go right on around and do that all the way around. Now that's one wrap. Then go back to your number 1 point and start again. So you wrap circuits 1 and circuit 2, leave circuit 3 empty. 3, 6, and 9 points are not touched. Those are empty.
Okay.
4, put your 1 winding around with 4. Go to 5, 1 winding around with number 5. Go to 6, 1 winding around with number 6. But you don't put anything on 6. So you leave that spot empty. I tried to trick you, but I didn't. So that gives you operational circuits. Just continue this 1 wrap for each one of these until you get 12 wraps all together. The wires will interlace like putting your 2 fingers together, like locking your fingers together. Those wires will interlace. That is a starship coil. That coil has an immense magnetic field in the vortex. That coil also, because it's flat, it will heat up. But if you got a donut, you can put that exact same pattern around a donut, a toroidal shape, and that will give you a real rodent coil.
Hey, Larry.
Yes, sir.
I know what a magnet is, right? And I know what it does, but I've never thought about what is a magnet? Where do they come from?
Well, let me tell you the way I think about it, and you might laugh. I don't really believe that there's such a thing as a magnetic particle. However, let's talk about it as if there were. There's a whole bunch of little bitty particles coming out of each end of a magnet. They go around and go back in the other end. These create magnetic flux fields, the lines that you get when you put a magnet in the middle of a bunch of iron filings. Those are magnetic flux fields. But not all of those little things are captured in these fields. They are out in random space. They just shoot off and get expelled, and they're just out floating around waiting to hook up with another one. So these magnetic flux fields go around, and I also think that these little magnets are doing a spiral, like a DNA spiral. Some of them are going clockwise, and some of them are going counterclockwise. That's what gives you polarity. So as they go back into the other end of the magnet, they shoot through that little piece of metal to the center between the north and the south. And that's where the magic happens. That's where that spiral is flattened out and it changes direction. That's happening from both sides.
But what makes the magnet a magnet? I mean, it's a metal, right?
Yeah, electricity makes it a magnet. The 3 things that everything in the world from a photon to the entire universe has are frequency, that's vibration, that causes electricity, and that causes a magnetic field. Those 3 things, everything that there is has.
Well, but I'm talking something really simple, like what does that little bit of magnet that you put on your refrigerator, where does it come from? What is it? That you're explaining
that's a piece of ferrous metal that has had a charge that goes from one polarity to the other put through it. A single polarity charge hit at one end of that will charge that whole piece of magnetic film.
So it's a man-made object
thing, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So you're manipulating.
There's naturally magnetic.
Yeah,
there's natural magnets too.
Right, lodestone, magnetite, lots of it.
Really? I don't know all that much about it.
Native Americans used to have piles of lodestone around their camps where they camped, so that if somebody was ill, if somebody got injured, they could put the lodestone on it, put the lodestone in conjunction with a piece of metal on it, a piece of ferrous metal, and heal themselves. What that does is a magnet will draw the iron in our blood to the spot where you're putting the magnet on your body. And that makes it circulate. That draws the white blood cells and all the parts of your blood that heals yourself.
Well, yeah, it pulls the metals out. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. See, common sense is so easy, and then you get somebody that can tell you without yelling like Alex Jones. And then it's even better if at the end when they're done they don't want anything.
Yeah, but I want something. I want everybody to understand and realize that free energy is there. You can do it.
Yeah, but the Queen of England said no.
Let her fall by the wayside.
I don't know. I'm just saying, the population isn't adult enough to understand how to live.
I agree.
Westinghouse said no, actually. Tesla tried to give it to us in 1935, and Westinghouse said, no, I can't charge for that.
Exactly. And that mentality is just so embedded.
And that's where I'm so against all these guys that want to create megawatts worth of power. All that's going to do, if they get free megawatts, that means that the power company is still going to charge you for that power because they got to maintain the transmission lines.
Yep.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
That's not free energy. That's free shit for the rich folks.
Well, that's the truth of free energy. They're not talking about the people that use it. Come on, it's a big game. It's a collective illusion, and it's forced with guns, and that's about all it is.
Use up 1,000 acres of good farmland so you can put up a solar farm so that you can provide power to your grid and charge me for it.
And I think people are just conditioned and lazy enough. The food sources are horrible. The water sources are horrible. The air is horrible. Blah, blah, blah. Everything about life is based on complete bullshit. So how could you be happy in a setting that I just described? I don't see it.
Nope.
And
20 kilowatts.
There's millions of them too. Well, you guys are away from the mainstream. Yeah. Seems to be the common link to the RLM is that most of the people don't live in a city. City environment doesn't get them.
I want 20 kilowatt units.
How much is that?
It's enough to run a house.
For how long?
20 kilowatts? Heavenly days, you got a big house.
That's That's enough to run everything in your house all at once.
I can do that in 5. Yeah, 5 kilowatts is more than I could ever use. I've got a 3-bedroom house. It's not very big, but it's less than 2,000 square feet, I think. But
that's good size for, unless you got a lot of people with you. That's not too small.
But are you running anything electric, stove, water heater, any of that stuff?
No, I'm gas on the stove and the water heater.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's fine. You can do it in 5.
Yeah.
Now, there's a study out there. They said the average home uses 19 kilowatts at their peak with everything on.
You realize what peak is, right? That's the 15 minutes of the most power consumption that you use.
No, I didn't mean peak. I meant with everything in your house on.
Okay, maximum.
The most maximum load. That's what I was trying to. Yeah. Maximum load on a house, average is 19 kilowatts.
Yeah. Wow.
That's with an all-electric house, electric stove, water heater, heaters, AC, whatever you use.
I could just imagine the electric.
Because that's what you need. If you can't support an AC, an electric stove, an electric water heater, you're going to cut out half the population right there.
Yeah, I've got a Grammy Mary quote for you guys, right?
Okay.
She once said that if you're going to write a law and it's so complicated a 5-year-old that doesn't know what you're talking about, don't write it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that pretty much eliminates every rule, regulation, and law on the books that we live under. And I've never found a good way to ask this question, but I always wonder, how does the government influence your daily life? I mean, I never think of it. You know, when I'm out in public, I'm just trying not to get too caught up and trip over something, you know, shit like that. Just get where I'm going.
It prevents me from going out and setting up a lemonade stand.
Yeah.
Simple.
But you'd like to do that.
I mean,
right?
It doesn't sound like a lot, but
yeah,
just the fact that you can't go out and set up a lemonade stand or a vegetable stand on the side of the road like you used to see, 30 years ago.
Right.
You can't. Vince, have you ever been harassed for selling firewood?
No, but I'm just brokering it anyway. So, old boy's cutting it, and he don't want to cut. He don't.
But the guy's sitting down on the side of the road, you'll get harassed.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you about. Let's see, probably 98 or 99. One winter out in Vegas, I was a tree trimmer. And I spent the winter just going out for people to dump, tree limbs and stuff and cut wood and load up my truck and selling them $5 bundles off the corner. And I never got harassed, not once.
Yeah.
That's in Vegas, too.
I've seen it happen. I have a buddy who used to raise wolf hybrids. He used to go down and sell them out of the grocery store parking lot. Did it for years and years. And then about 10 years ago, they started harassing him. Every time he tried to go anywhere, the cop would be there. What you doing?
The sheriff here, he was the sheriff for about 4 years, then probably maybe 15 odd years ago. But he told his deputies, he says, you don't be writing tickets. These boys out here, trying to make a living cutting wood and hauling rock and whatnot. Got a tail light out or whatever.
Well, y'all are about 20 years behind the times out there anyway, so that's not really a good.
And I'll tell you, up until recently, probably more like 50 years behind times. I mean, this is the hills of Arkansas. Hillbillies, been here since the 1850s generally. My family moved a little further up in the north and west from here in the 1850s. Hillbilly, everything's dying. Everything's becoming a big conglomerate, Everything's a big medley and blended together. So, and you can thank television for that. So even the most backwooded folks, and this generation's dying off, the older folks, that
they're westernized.
Yeah, they were born into the horse and buggy days, even though the automobile was invented. Like my grandpa, born in 1908, but he's been dead for a while.
Hey, Rob, Grim's got a question for you and Larry on the main feed.
What? How can you run your server farm on 5kW?
I get babble and huh? Womp womp.
How can you run a server farm on 5 kilowatt?
I would suppose. I have. That's why I called you the guys that talk about electrical stuff, man.
You're going to have your own power supply for that one.
Yeah, that's going to have its own separate power supply.
Yep. Run them in series.
Or two if you need to.
So, like jumping plugs on a, when you have your electrical box on the wall, you can add a box to a box to a box.
Yeah, that's a parallel on your plug circuit in your house.
Right, but I mean, it's similar to that, right? You just jump
like
from one to another.
Yeah, like your Christmas tree lights. When one light goes out, they all stop working. That's series.
Mm-hmm. But that's I'm following along, trying to make sense of something visual, in my mind's eye that I'm not looking at visually. So it's a trip.
Yeah, series.
So
series.
How would that?
Go ahead.
Sorry, Larry. The unit you were talking about, that they would have a box and it would just have a connection on the outside, and you hook it up to your main panel. One of those. That's a 5 kilowatt system you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a 5 kilowatt generator, and you can put.
So if you wanted 10 kilowatts, you just
2 of them.
2 of them, and you go
one for each leg.
So you pull a positive off one and a negative off the other, and tie the other two together.
Yeah.
Okay. And that would just automatically.
Yeah, the series will double it. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. All right. So yeah, just need 2 of those.
So whatever your power need, we could do that with a. I think that particular coil is 27 point something on the outside diameter, so under 28 inches. And we would put that in a Faraday cage so that there's no way that anybody can tamper with it or get hurt from it, and then have a disconnect on the outside, and you can lock that off.
Yeah, just make it a sealed unit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our generator has got 2 major flaws. Number one, it's going to have a frequency modulation board on it. That's a printed circuit board that will burn out, and we hope to have one that lasts for 10 years. If we beef it up enough, maybe we can get more out of it. But that board will have to be replaced. At this point, they cost us $10. And if you have a technician replace it, that's unplug the board, plug another.
Can you make it a plug? Can you make it a plug and play type thing?
Yeah, it definitely is plug and play.
So you could have on the sealed unit, you could have maybe like a little door with a drop flips open, and you just pull a circuit board out and put a new one in.
Yep.
Why not just give them 5 circuit boards with the unit?
Well, because how many keys have you still got that you had 5 years ago that are extra keys? How many can you still find? That's why.
Yeah, well, that's not really a same kind of deal, but yeah.
Similar, yeah.
Yeah,
I'd agree with that one.
If I have to have extra parts...
How big is the circuit board?
3 inches wide and 6 inches long.
Yeah. I would have them. I would still have them. I mean,
I could lose that in 2 days.
Yeah, but it'll end up in somebody's junk drawer and get tore up. But the circuit board, that's our main time problem. Other than that, when the magnets run down, they'll have to be replaced. That's a real expensive process. They only last between 300 and 400 years.
Yeah.
So
that's not going to be an issue.
No,
in 300-400 years, these systems will be obsolete anyway. You'll be running off a little 2-inch square cube.
Yep. Well, I don't know. We may be stuck like with a steam. We may get stuck in magnetic energy.
Hey, I got a very lame, simple question to ask. You probably laugh at it. Larry, you ready for this?
Oh.
Okay, you know the Wi-Fi makes it so I can carry my laptop around and all that, right? Well, there's a yellow cord, I think, that goes from the computer directly to the router. So that would eliminate the Wi-Fi, right?
If your router puts out a Wi-Fi signal, it's going to put out a Wi-Fi signal whether you're plugged into it or not.
So I got to get one of those things I was asking you about if you knew about it, that neutralizes all this shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like $250, $300. You know, go American or whatever's New Zealand, something like that. But it was on a dollar thing. You said it should be about $250, and that's about what it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you recall the conversation because I'm giving this stuff the more, I'm getting older, man. I'm not getting younger. So I'm giving it more consideration, and I'm starting to think about where can I do this locally, blah, blah, blah. What do I need to do before it gets too bad that I can't fix it?
Study.
Huh?
Study.
Well, actually, yeah, but I'm talking about there's physical movements I can take.
Yeah.
So I want to do as much of it as I can. So the best way to deal with the Wi-Fi signal is to get something that'll neutralize it in the atmosphere.
Right. For every frequency out there, there is an equal and opposite frequency that will cancel it out.
So there must be some open source, like Rob's into. There must be an open source form of how to make something that would accomplish that, right?
Yes.
Well, and we're in this commerce-driven bullshit game that we play. So there you go.
Yep, that's an electronic device, and unfortunately, I'm electric. If you can't put a screwdriver on it, I can't do it.
Well, let me ask about maybe some natural gas power and stuff. Couldn't you have a little generator you towed it around with you and eat plenty of beans and just have an attachment?
Well, in Texas, they regulate how many cattle they can fart. They're regulating.
No, that's California.
Now. Is that okay, California? Yeah, regulating methane from animals.
Yeah, that's California.
I think the politicians should have that law.
Did they pass a law out there in California about they've got to have these collection devices strapped on the back of the cow to collect that methane?
Oh, God.
Welcome to the Dork table.
No,
we just landed.
Just a tax. They're going to tax you based on how many cows you have, based on how much the average cow,
everything,
how much methane they produce, and blah, blah, blah.
And global warming is the biggest pile of goobies that there is. It's not real. We're going through a cycle.
Grimner says he has a key locker where all his spare keys are kept, and he can find every one.
All right.
Oh, you anal retentive motherfucker. Adam. Shit, I have trouble finding my fucking shoes in the morning. Don't brag.
He's uptight and out of sight.
Well, to each his own. I don't know. He's probably got his first grade report card, too.
Hey, Rocky wants me to pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Well, the traps of society, they just get us all in different ways. I mean, nobody is immune from it. I'm not immune from this shit any more than you are. I'm aware of the same crap you see. And we're kind of lucky that we got 4 people in the same conversation that see society the same way. Wow. And I would say that you guys, to me, represent the anarchist mindset. You live in this shit, and we're stuck with it, but yeah, right. If you say so.
It's like living behind enemy lines.
Well, there's lots of ways that you can personally shield yourself. Go to the Army Navy surplus store and buy a set of Faraday clothing.
Mm-hmm.
The Army's got that. Navy's got it. You need to take a circuit tester with you, take a continuity tester with you, and make sure it ain't tore up. But if it's still functional, and remember now, Faraday clothing protects you from that stuff, but it stops at a certain point, so you have to discharge it. You have to send it to ground eventually.
Yeah, it builds up a charge like a capacitor.
Yeah, just exactly. And that's what we're going to capture and put a power reclamation circuit on it, so you can slide yourself in your pocket and it'll charge for you.
Yeah.
Fire your podcaster, huh?
Yep.
You make it sound so simple.
It is.
Right. I'm saying, I understand. I just said, you make it sound so simple. I'm not complicating a cheese sandwich. That's what the smart people do, Rob.
Hey, do you have any of those pills left, Flash?
Any of those
pills? You got some in your shirt pocket?
Fuck you, Vince. Don't start with me today. I have to slap you around. Anyway,
I wouldn't lose extra boards.
See, I've been reading what Rob's been writing for quite a while now, and I've come to the conclusion, if you will, that like you, he plays in the game, but he's not a game player. There's a difference.
Yeah, I've taken that over to the reallibertymedia.com Facebook page, the links from Larry and from Rob, and also some of those pictures. I even included the hamster wheel there. Thanks, Frumpy, for you guys adding me in there.
The hamster wheel?
Yeah, a good power source. Put your kids on a hamster wheel.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no way. There'd be child abuse, lawsuits. See, we're in this shit that we're in because of lawyers. So when people start waking up and just murder all the fucking lawyers, well, there you go.
No, that's not the way to
go. Okay,
seriously, Shakespeare said hang the lawyers, but what we need to do is convert them, and we're
I just want to make them irrelevant.
We're radio evangelists here, is what we're doing.
Okay, but you're on that legal side, like how you want to fight the fire with the fire, and I'm of the unique.
No, I want to hold their feet to the fire.
I want to abandon the whole damn game and stop playing it.
You can't collapse it. That's when these different ideas of anarchy. That's when the bad kind of anarchy falls in. Collapse the system, implode it on itself. Gun the gears where you can. Let's slow it down, back it up. We get it stop progression. These guys in politics are talking about fast tracking this and that and implementing and pushing along policy. And why don't we just stop and think? Why don't we halt this progression? Because we see we're spiraling out of control. So let's stop this spiral first of all. And you got to do that by holding people to accountability for these people that are occupying seats of decision, these power and authority positions in the world and local. So, from a cop pulling you over and you're riding along with somebody or traveling down the road and they want to see your ID, like here in Arkansas, well, I'm not loitering anywhere, so unless he thinks I've committed a crime, then that doesn't exist. So if he don't know that, it's my duty and obligation to educate him on that, right?
No.
Good luck, Charlie.
No, it's not your duty or obligation to educate the cop.
You're going to get shot.
That's the worst thing you can do. You're not there to educate him. You're there to stand as a man.
Yeah.
It's their duty and obligation to understand what they're doing.
Sure. And when they
you just act accordingly. So when they pull you over, have you ever listened to Eddie Craig?
Mm-mm.
Probably listen to him a little bit. He's on Rule of Law Radio on Monday nights. Monday nights at 8 o'clock. He has a full-blown course on how to deal with traffic tickets. He's an ex-deputy himself. He was a deputy for 12 years. And he got tired of the bullshit and figured it out, and now he's on the other side of the fence teaching people how to beat traffic tickets and how to deal with cops. And he says when they pull you over, the first thing you ask them is, good evening, officer, what's the emergency? How can I help? Because he's declared an emergency. When he lights them lights up, he's declared an emergency. So that's the first thing you ask him, and he's going to look at you funny and blah, 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 and he's going to ask you for your license and da-da-da. Your next question is, am I under arrest? And he's going to say no, which is a lie. Because the minute he pulls you over, you're under arrest.
Let me give you a little story. This has happened time and time again in some parts of the South and maybe even out west.
Off topic.
Yeah, it is. But I'll make it quick. So this old boy traveling down from up north there, he gets pulled over down about Mississippi, and the cop comes up and he taps his window with his nightstick, and he rolls his window down finally, and he says, "Boy, down here," he said, first of all, he said, "Where y'all coming from?" He says, "Columbus." And he said, "Don't you lie to me. I see them Ohio plates on there." And he said, he said, "Step out of the car." And he went to whooping him with that nightstick like you wouldn't believe. Then he called his old buddy out, set him back in the car, beat half to death, and went to whooping on him. He says, "Why did you do that? I've not done nothing." He said, as soon as you got down the road, you'd have told your buddy, "I wish you'd have done that to me."
Yeah.
You got to really be careful how you approach it.
Unfortunately,
you have to position yourself properly, because what Hal would tell you more often than not is where not to place yourself and how to position yourself to preempt any claim.
Wow, you're making me so homesick.
Shut up and go outside and get you a stick and hit yourself with it 6 or 8 times.
You reminded me of the good old days when strange men would pull me over on the side of the road with shiny lights and grab my private parts, looking for weapons of mass destruction.
Well, I made them lock me up for my last ticket that I got several years ago. It took me about 3 years to make them do it, and sentenced me to 36 days. Well, the jail administrator, they kicked me out about a week early. Told me, go home and don't tell that judge they let me go early. They was calling me weird. And I was telling them things like, I know how to write rips, and I said, you're preventing me from going to the law library. I said, we're going to have some problems. But yeah, they decided I was more trouble than I was worth.
Yeah.
But I'm not against law and order, true law and order. You know, we have to have rules to live by, and what not to do to somebody. And if it means, well, I need this fellow, I'll go over here and serve this guy up a case if you got a problem. It might be, you'd need something like that.
Yeah. I don't think there's very many people. I'd say very, very few people don't know that it's not okay to go out and point a gun at somebody and steal their money.
Oh, Grams, you got me.
Or to go and just hit somebody or whatever. I don't believe we need all these written rules.
No, right. The insult is that
people know the difference.
Yeah, the few among us that dare to do as they fucking please ruin it for the rest of us that have self-control.
Yeah.
Because it's not unnatural to want to strangle somebody for being stupid or being insulting. So I would attribute all this shit to the way we're fucking raised in the beginning. If you're if you're raised to accept this shit in your life, then shit you will accept. And there you go. And some people they crack like little fucking bitches, and they do exactly what they're fucking told without, what? Who the hell are you to tell me to do that? They just see a shiny badge or some form of mental authority, and they do what they're told. It's ridiculous.
So, Larry, what did you want to talk about?
Well, we've been talking about what I want to talk about all day.
Yeah. We got.
This was just another aspect of power that I was.
That was a dork moment all around. Everybody have a dork moment. All right.
There's less than 10 minutes left, and I wanted to give him the.
Yeah,
where's Grams with her duck call?
The floor for a minute.
just question everything. Don't believe what I tell you. Try it out for yourself. Don't believe what anybody tells you. Remember what you learned in school was only just a little bit of all of it.
I don't think I can believe you right now, can I, Larry? You're
there's two truths. There's
everything
the real
I
truth.
say is a lie. I'm lying.
There's the real truth, and then there's the truth according to Larry. Question everything.
Absolutely.
Why?
Yeah. Well, what we're not taught. We're taught about all this collective shit, as in school and whatnot, in society. What they don't teach you is about all that time you're by yourself, and now they spy on you with with your own gadgetry. Wow.
There is one more thing I'd like to say.
I'm homesick. Okay, Larry, what's up? Take us on.
Moms and dads, take your children out of school. Start bringing class action lawsuits against the school for having Wi-Fi. Your daughters, if they go from kindergarten through 12th grade in school, 50% of them will be sterile. A large percentage of the boys will be sterile. Take your kids out of school. If your kids have to stay in public school, get a class action lawsuit going in your town to get that Wi-Fi out of there.
Well, you know, they're making it law here in Arkansas that all kids are going to have to be vaccinated. They're going to do away with the religious exemption and the other, what they call the conscientious objective to it.
Don't
like
do that
California
either.
did.
Make them sign a waiver that absolutely guarantees they will take care of you for the rest of your life should anything happen because of that vaccine.
Sure. Hey, there's a good one from Juana Taco, the Dork Table on Craig's methods of interfacing with police when stopped would be informative and could save money.
Machine gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. The permanent
Direct
solution
confrontation is stupicide
to a temporary problem. Okay. Yeah, one attack. I answered him on the feed. Wow, everybody got quiet all at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. 4 minutes and counting to the
very
end
familiar
of time.
with Craig's method. I actually know Eddie. I've met him personally. He's a really cool guy. Yeah, we can definitely go over Craig's curriculum.
All right, so another dorkular topic for us to delve into in the future.
Yeah, traffic tickets.
Well, right, but to have these, these answers to these dorky questions that most people don't even think of, we're not looking for the mainstream. This is the fringe crew, people on the outside looking at it.
Yeah,
we just need to do a little bit more.
It's like Larry said. It's all about study. I studied that shit for 6 years straight. I was all in the middle of it. So yeah.
In interfacing with police thing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if Juan is interested, but I said Juana Taco can be my co-hostage on the.
Yeah.
You can join us. I mean, I'm not looking to do anything by myself here.
Right.
I like to have a.
Well, I was talking to Grim earlier. I'm going to figure out how to do the hosting and everything. So.
Cool. Yes.
We can do all that.
That's my big enemy is the technology.
Yeah. Nah, it's not that hard.
I'm lazy. And it forces other people to help me out. Like Vince got the show on for me today. Made me, gave me a reason to do something with him again for a minute.
Hell, as a matter of fact,
Yeah.
I bet I can get Eddie to come on the show.
See, there you go.
Just got to give him.
Hey, listen, guys. Before we come up to the end, we're up to 78 subscribers on the YouTube channel at reallibertymedia.com. So if you're listening to this now or later, and you have not already subscribed to YouTube, please do so. We need 100 for a custom URL over there, and I'd sure like to see that happen by Christmas. Maybe it'd be a Christmas present. And also a reminder. Over at reallibertymedia.com on the web page there's several ways that you can contribute here. And if you're looking to do a broadcast, get in touch with me or Grimner or Flash or anybody else over here that you know or don't know. Come say how do and come be a part. There's a lot of great minds over here. That's what I really appreciate a lot is in the chat here. There's some people, and not everybody has the same opinion of things. But for the most part, people are respectful of one another over here and can have a discussion or just be goofy like I am a lot of times. But, hey, if you can't laugh with me, laugh at me. Thanks for coming along, Larry Woods, Rob Works, our very own Rob Works from the Real Liberty Media chat room right here. Flash, that's my ex-half of This Is No Time for Rational Thinking. I've been your host, Vincent Easley II. And a big reminder as well, come on over to freedomsnetwork.com. It's our social media partner site. Come join up. There's a lot of privacy and stuff as far as, I guess you got to be part of the site there, but it's not the same algorithms as Facebook. But also, if you are on Facebook, come on over and give us a like on our Facebook page, Real Liberty Media. And thanks a lot, folks, for coming along, for listening. And we'll see you next time. Grammy Mary's back on a rocket chair on Wednesday and Freaker Friday. I don't think I'm going to do a new broadcast. I might, but I'm still trying to gather my stuff up and get out of here. I'm headed west to first of the year, starting out in Texas. And say goodbye, Flash, Larry, and Rob. Thanks for listening and joining along.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Thanks for listening. Bye.
Thank you much. Take care.
Bye-bye.